Geert Lovink ist Medientheoretiker und Netzkritiker. Er ist Autor einer Reihe einschlägiger Publikationen, die alle im Transkriptverlag erschienen sind. Da ist Zero Commons, Elemente einer kritischen Internetkultur. Hier geht es weniger sozusagen um so ein Lob des Bürgerjournalismus, denn um das, was man den nihilistischen Impuls der Blogs nennen könnte, etablierte Bedeutungsstrukturen auszuhöhlen und an deren Stelle das Verlinken, Indexieren und das Ranking zu setzen. Dann gibt es ein Buch mit dem Titel Das halbwegs Soziale, das sich auch kritisch, wie der Titel eigentlich schon indiziert, mit den sozialen Netzwerken beschäftigt. Dann im Bann der Plattform schließlich ist für Mai dieses Jahres angekündigt und wird sich unter anderem, wenn ich das richtig verstanden habe, mit den Normalisierungseffekten der Netzkultur auseinandersetzen. Seit 2004 leitet er das Institut für Netzkultur an der Hochschule Amsterdam. Sie finden es unter networkcultures.org. Das Institut hat verschiedene Schwerpunkte. Zurzeit ist das etwa die Kritik der sozialen Medien. Das läuft unter dem schönen Titel Unlike Us. Genau. Unter dem Titel Money Lab gibt es einen Schwerpunkt zu Internetbezahlmodellen. Unter dem irgendwie Debauche anmutenden Titel Society of the Query gibt es einen Schwerpunkt zu Ästhetik und Politik der Suchmaschinen. Sein Vortrag heute trägt den Titel Von der Maske zum Selfie, Strategien der Selbstgestaltung im Netz. Geert Lovink wird auf Englisch sprechen. Welcome.
Yes, let's start straight away. I'm going to talk in English for Olga and for Eva because I don't want them to walk away. So yes, for me, the selfie and selfie culture is something what Olga already said is embedded in structures. These structures are highly invisible and barely, investigated. So we're at the very beginning. So whereas, for art historians, it's very easy to make some kind of a trajectory from the self-portrait to the selfie. For us, internet critics and researchers, it's very difficult to make the trajectory from the selfie to the systems that are running behind it. Let me see. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm often using this kind of periodization because the self and this in the internet has had different meanings. In the beginning, the self was definitely the user, and there was no distinction between the programmer, the user, and the self, right? And then, of course, there is a big change happening in the 90s. But in the 90s, the self was definitely someone else, right? The self was something that could be liberated and could become someone else. Which then, after 9/11, of course, is cracked down. This is when Mark Zuckerberg comes in with his crusade against the multiple self. And then now we are in this period of... yeah, all right. And now, of course, yeah. Sorry, I have to speed up. We are in the age of Snowden, and I think this is a really important moment because definitely Snowden has resulted in a questioning of the systems and the social media as they're running. Not only has he, of course, put the emphasis on the Secret Services, NSA, and the threat of privacy, but he has clearly established another culture in which we need to protect ourselves. So the selfie, in fact, and the mask are now absolutely two things of the same side. So we cannot say, well, there's the selfie and then there's the mask. No, internet culture is in fact dominated by both of them. And Gabriella Coleman has written this book on Anonymous, the cult, the movement, which I can highly recommend, in which she also further theorizes the relationship between the selfie and the mask. We've already talked about Snapchat. I'm mentioning it here because yesterday, of course, was the IPO of Snapchat. Snapchat, which is definitely a kind of a combination of a selfie culture and a mask culture in one. So that's an interesting. There's, if you are more interested, there is this scholar network of people who study selfies, and we all know how they look like. For me, I want to focus here a little bit on the aspect, the discussion on the narcissism, because it is an important element where a lot of kind of debates are theorized and have an important starting point, not just in the work of Freud, that were leading up to the book from '79 of Christopher Lasch. And I want to point here at also the timely similarity between the appearance of the book of Lasch and the main works that are often quoted by Michel Foucault, right? They are really happening in the same, almost in the same year, almost in the same month, in the period of '79 and 1980. And there I'm, of course, referring to the technologies of the self. But I also want to point here to a very recent classics, if you like. So this is Jared Kolbeck's book, I Hate the Internet, which came out at the end of '16, which describes really the very, very decadent and impossible culture of San Francisco under the worst .com social media regime. So the book is written in the style of Michel Houellebecq, so you probably can imagine kind of Michel Houellebecq in the San Francisco Bay Area of the Facebook and Google age, right? The other one is, of course, the N+1 editor, Christine Dombeck. And this is her book. It's not about the selfie, by the way. It really focuses on the question of narcissism as such. And her point there is really that we're moving away from the narcissism as a psychoanalytic phenomena that can be treated by through therapy to a general condition. To a techno-social condition. And this is kind of the fear. And there she kind of also tries to make a point that the fear of narcissism is very much an aspect of that. And of course, we hear about that now all the time. So every hour of the day these days, we hear about this gentleman being present on Twitter, and he has, of course, already hundreds of times been diagnosed now as a narcissist, right? So, and we can in fact already read detailed analysis of his psychological structure, and so on, right? I want to point here at another element, though, of the selfie, which I think is often a little bit overseen, namely that the selfie is part of the like economy, and we cannot separate the two, right? If you don't want to speak about the like economy, you should really shut your mouth about the selfie, because they are so intrinsically connected, right? And the like economy is completely dominated by advertising. So the selfie, the likes economy, and Facebook and Google in particular, being advertising giants of our age. They are absolutely one and the same. And this is primarily also what young people do. They not only post selfies, but they like selfies, right? And so we have to do more work, in my understanding, in this direction, which would point at the political economy of the internet, in which we fully understand the meaning of these images. I'm pointing here also at another aspect which we don't hear so much about, but that's really the selfie as biometrics, and as biometrics that are used to study mainly by police force, but also about many, of course, marketing, for marketing purposes. And so if we post a selfie, these data objects can and will be analyzed by the same computers, right? So, so this is a piece that we, as the Institute of Network Cultures, recently published by Ruben van der Ven, and there he describes that in detail. So the phenomena is called emotion analysis software, right? And it's a really brilliant essay in which he explains how this works. And here you can already see kind of where this is going, right? It is not only about identification, because you could say, okay, but in fact, when you look at these images, it is not precisely about the unique self that authorities are behind. They are much more interested in the bigger picture. What is the general mood of the crowd, for instance? And there, the selfie is playing an important role, and maybe also, and that's how he, in fact, concludes this essay, also the manipulation of individual users who are becoming aware of the emotional software, right? We can start to train our faces and start to manipulate the algorithms themselves as soon as we are aware of what they are doing. And that is, of course, something that is kind of next stage. I don't know if you know this art project from St. Petersburg. You can see here it's called Find Face, if you want to look it up. And what it does is that it takes the person, the artist, went in the metro of St. Petersburg, and then matches the picture of the guy who was sitting on the other opposite, and matches it with the database of Valkontakte, the biggest Russian social media site. Here another one, as he sits in front of someone. And, this is something that we will see much more. So taking pictures and collecting selfies and so on will inevitably become more related to this and to identification maybe of individuals. And that's why I believe there is this kind of counter movement of what I call the mass design, which obviously starts with the very simple kind of approach of the anti-selfie, Of course, it also looks at the selfie from a different perspective, because I'm a very big fan of Ai Weiwei. And Ai Weiwei takes a lot of selfies, but he's doing that also for a political reason, not just for an aesthetic reason, because by looking at his recent selfies, we know that he is still alive, that he has not yet been arrested, and for him, it is also a political tool. This is another type of software. It's called soul-sucking. It basically has 2 different versions. So this is the first version, which I really like, and this is another by another artist who. Not only is it kind of a mask, but also you can, of course, see here the Sherry Turkle type of critique at play in her book Alone Together, right? She describes that we are all, even when we're sitting in a cafe in front of each other, we're staring at our phones, okay? And these are the kind of new security principles. And for instance, one of the more realistic strategies for the next years to come is probably this idea of the compartmentalization, where we really try to understand that there are no such things as general platforms, because this is the problem with Twitter and Facebook. Is that they look like, for instance, personal devices, but they're in fact used for all sorts of things. Look now at the analysis of the American election campaign, in which Facebook was used extensively. Okay, I want to close here by saying that we are one of the co-organizers of an international conference coming up in Rome, in which we will further theorize and critique these machines of self-analysis. Okay, thank you very much.